So, still in my Zoids rabbit hole at the moment, and I've got this chap to show you, or at least most of him. This is Mammoth the Destroyer, and he actually arrived like this, and actually I'm quite happy about that, because the vast majority of Zoids, when they arrive from eBay sellers, are in pieces. And Exhibit A of this particular circumstance is this little Cosmozoid, which I haven't made up yet because it came like this, in a phone case, in a phone box, in its component pieces. Fortunately, it's quite a small Zoid. I don't have the manual for it, however, so that could be an issue, but I'll see what I can do with that one. But this chap is quite an interesting example because he's one of the largest Zoids you could get back in the mid-80s. And he started off life as a blue Zoid, who then defected to the red Zoids, and this is his red Zoid form after he'd been mutated from blue to red. So you can get him as he was before he was mutated. So actually, he's the biggest of the Zoids that got two versions. So a lot of the smaller Zoids you could buy as their blue Zoid version and then their mutated red Zoid version. But he's the biggest one. He's motorized as well, and he's heavily motorized. He's got a big battery compartment underneath his belly here, and he would move along. And his trunk would move, his tusk would move. Had a sort of tail on the back with guns as well. And I do have those pieces, but I have them at the moment just in this bag. And I don't know if you can make out here, but it's quite interesting because at one point I thought they shared guns with the Rats toys or the Star Wars toys that Tomy did as well. But in fact, what I'm remembering is that the Great Gorgon had these guns that are here in the bag. So they obviously did do some cross-pollination of pieces across different Zoids. But you can see here he's got a tail gunner, and the android is there for that tail gunner. In fact, I may even have more androids than I need in this pack. Because I'm just noticing now there's one sat in that seat already. There's one loose in there, and there's already one in his head. Now his head's loose, so I need to jump out my skin when that came off. But I'm expecting that because not all of it is linked together yet. But I do have the instructions as well, so I should in theory be able to reconstruct him, assuming I've got enough stuff in that bag to put him all together. But I'm reasonably confident that I have, because given that the seller's gone to the trouble of packaging it well enough to survive intact. I mean, I've had them come in far worse state than this by their nature. Now, one thing I should say about buying Zoids, they are nearly 40 years old now, and the plastic and so on is probably getting a bit brittle, but critically, Zoids are not glued together. Zoids are reliant on these caps to hold all the pieces together. So if these caps are missing or broken, you're going to struggle holding the Zoid together. Now, people who are collecting Zoids probably already know that, quite frankly. But I haven't bought any of them recently. This is me sort of getting a few examples to show you, really. But I do know that this is a common thread in that if you don't have those, and they do vary as well, not necessarily the same type across each Zoid either, so they're not universal. And strangely, people don't seem to be doing reproduction ones. I've heard people say this to me before now, that you can't, unlike certain other items that obviously get 3D printed quite frequently, you don't seem to be able to get replacement caps for these, so it's kind of odd. But then you do get these nice examples like this chap, who does seem to have the vast majority of his parts. You can see his ears are rigged to move together. So I mean, they are clever creations. They really are. And so if you were for me, this is a bit of a crossover toy. It's kind of it's a mix of almost sort of Lego plastic, genuinely sort of kit-based plastic models, but also really sort of futuristic thinking, because all they've done is taken prehistoric animals, normal animals, but given them a sort of a techno-organic sort of approach, which at the time was quite new, I think. I mean, Transformers were going at the same time, but obviously these are rather different animals, no pun intended. And it's just, it just gave them more opportunity to play, I think. But they are seriously heavily armed. I mean, they shed loads of laser cannons and stuff in this bag. The combat is what they do. That's what they're there for. And you have sort of effectively three sides to the conflicts. You've got the Red Zoids. You've got sort of the mutant. Well, not mutant Red Zoids, but they're a Red Zoid faction led by a Red Zoid called Krark, who actually doesn't fight along traditional lines. He actually wants to unite the blue and red Zoids. So he's not afraid of blowing stuff up when he has to, but actually what he wants is to bring all the Zoids together to take them away from Zoidstar, their home planet, and go out and conquer the universe, which they used to do when they were controlled by Zoidarians, who were the aliens who originally lived on Zoidstar but who died out for the most part. But I have other videos on those storylines. But again, a lot of depth to the story, which isn't ever necessary for toys per se, but is nice to have for people like me who like a bit of backstory. So here, happily, I actually have his box. So on his back box we have Zoids War against the evils of the mutant Red Zoids. Battle after battle rages on. Who will win the next deadly encounter? Mammoth the Destroyer's constantly moving trunk is equipped with a lethal cannon. It's a deadly weapon. His ultrasonic ears flap backwards and forwards, so even when Mammoth the Destroyer can't actually see Zoids, he can sense them and search them out. So all just some nice little details on the back and the sides of the box. And again, what really strikes me about this is the photography, because you got to bear in mind these came on plastic kits. What's the right word for them? Won't come to me. But sort of plastic sheets with the parts attached to it. So you had to take the parts off the sort of the scaffolding, if you like, and then put them together that way. So you had to sit and build them before you could play with them, which means that they can't put a plastic window on the front of the box to show you the finished toy because it ain't there until you make it. So the photography on these boxes is critical to being able to sell the toys. And actually, interestingly, the size of the toy is pretty much the size of the big photo on the front of the box, which is quite fair. But the photographic work, the design of the box, was the only thing the kid had to go on, apart from print ads and TV ads, of which there probably were some, I think. That's all you had to go on. So fair dues to them. I think they did a really nice job with the marketing side of it. I had this chap here as well, the Great Gorgon. He was the only one of this size that I had before I started to sort of move out of sort of toy era, if you like. Gorgon was a big blue Zoid. He featured in the Spider-Man and Zoids comics, which you can also see videos for on my channel as well. So the humans on Zoidstar managed to get hold of a Great Gorgon to take them around the place. But it's just really, really cleverly done. I think Tomy made some really nice products. Yes, it's all very plasticky, but it's motorised. It's got a lot of action to it. It's very, very cleverly done. And you can see that it's Mammoth le Destroyer in French. Nice. But it's just they're very much of their time. But when you do get them, you just have to be really careful because it's so easy for bits to be missing, Android pilots to be missing, because the Android pilots are very, very small. There's no two ways about it. So if they are missing, then you give it a miss, or obviously you use a spare one that you have to have lying around if you have such a thing. So I just thought I'd show you that because it's nice thing about this is I got this. They left the token in the box. If you've seen one of my other videos, you'll know that you could send these away to get mail away gifts that you couldn't get any other way, basically like computer games and posters and things like that. So that got you quite a few, and that's the Red Zoid version of it. You got a slightly different version for the blue Zoids. You can see the examples are there on the back of the manual. And again, I'm hoping I might be able to sort of completely recreate them. You can see here the sort of the style of the instructions for the construction process. So it's quite it's quite a sort of an interesting one to try and put together. He's had his stickers applied clearly, but maybe not in quite the right places, judging by the pictures. But not a lot I can do about that now. So yeah, I mean, it was pleasant to receive one that was largely made up. So I mean, it's only the stuff in the plastic bag I actually need to put together to try and put him into decent working order. But I just thought I'd show you him straight out of the box. I was so pleasantly surprised by his state of being. So that's it for that one. Do like and subscribe, and hit the bell to be notified of shiny new videos. And I will say cheers for now.